Welcome. Today, I will be presenting the process and ideas behind developing this course for science and the public. While I will not go into excruciating detail, for those of you interested in doing so, I have provided the research paper to read that I have written leading to the development of the course. The slides will introduce the background, problem, and significance of the relevant aspects before covering the rationale behind the choices I made in designing the curriculum for fundamentals of logic, reasoning, and argumentation for public engagement with science. Please feel free to refer to the research paper for the course curriculum for more information. In a report by the American Academy of Arts and Sciences entitled Perceptions of Science in America, AS, 2018, it was suggested that additional research needs to be conducted and it should expand upon the definition of science literacy in a manner that emphasizes the importance of understanding the scientific process and the ability to evaluate conflicting scientific evidence. Conflicting scientific evidence abounds, and there exists a plethora of examples in the media of both faulty reasoning and unfounded claims. Diethelman McKee, 2009. Background, problem, and significance. Despite the legitimacy of science and overwhelming evidence supporting climate change and anthropogenic global warming (GW), many of the American public remain either skeptical or in complete denial of its truth. Dunlap, 2013. Nevertheless, given that skepticism is a qualitative characteristic that is both native and necessary for scientists to possess, Dunlap, 2013, in the face of existing evidence, complete denial is not. Science, media, and the public. Whether skeptical but willing to accept evidence, or skeptical and unwilling to accept any evidence, members of the public ought to be equipped with basic scientific skills required to be capable of evaluating issues of scientific concern. Surprisingly, although all of the deficiencies in the public understanding of science (PUS) on display in the media, the nature of the attitudes of the public towards science tends to be positive. Oz, 2018. How might the issue be addressed? In addition, for example, research has demonstrated that although various levels of confidence in science do exist, the majority of people believe that the benefits of science outweigh any potential risks. Oz, 2018. Moreover, the public thinks that the highest priority for science should be given to improving educational outcomes, reducing poverty, and finding cures for disease and illness. Oz, 2018. That the public can remain in denial suggests a lack of appropriate knowledge, skill, and attitude for making judgments regarding such issues of scientific concern. PUS, there would truly exist a competent public comprised of informed individuals, each of who are more likely to participate fulfilling the role of citizen scientists. Milgard and Stairs, 2009. Interesting facts on perception of science in America. If there is to be any hope of society moving beyond deplorable behavior in the form of flawed reasoning, we must strive for, and engage in, rational discussion. Furthermore, if the rational discussion required for society to move forward needs there to exist a possibility to establish inference warrants, then all parties involved in the engagement must be clear about the sort of problem or issue at hand. Tolmine, 2003. Clarity with regard to a particular problem may only be achieved if there can be improvements made in the public understanding of science (PUS). Thus, the process of improving PUS must begin with a concerted effort to remediate the faulty reasoning and unsubstantiated claims that have become the norm. To try to remediate the deficiencies in knowledge, that is, PUS, concerning the basic principles of logic, reasoning, and argumentation necessary for participation in rational discussion, that is, PES, I have designed a course with an aligned curriculum that is learner-centered. Jones, Noyd, and Sagendorf, 2015, entitled Fundamentals of Logic, Reasoning, and Argumentation for Public Engagement with Science, PES. Individuals who enroll and successfully complete my course will acquire the acumen, ability, and attitude that are essential to contributing to decision-making related to issues of scientific concern. It is through the acquisition of such essential tools that, not only will learners possess what is needed in order to evaluate issues of scientific interest, they will be capable of forming their own opinions and appropriately support their respective stances. My contribution. Learning goals are what students should be able to accomplish upon completing a course of study. Jones, Noyd, and Sagendorf, 2015. The observable result of completing my course would be students being capable of making their own independent assessment concerning scientific issues in society using logical reasoning and argumentation, a thorough understanding of science basics, and an ability to employ logic, reasoning, and argumentation routinely to facilitate learning. To that end, the General Learning Goals (GLGS) for the course include the following: 1. Ability to make logical decisions relying on available evidence concerning scientific issues. 2. Be capable of forming their own opinions regarding public policy and contribute to dialogue on critical issues in public discourse. 3. Employ the acquired knowledge and skill to determine the best course of action with regard to their own behavior and of those for whom they are responsible, including both relatives and the public. GLG-1 entails the use of logic, reasoning, and argumentation for the purposes of increasing knowledge and aiding in decision-making according to a rational process that relies on available sources of evidence concerning particular scientific issues. GLGS-2 and the third of may be understood as giving students the tools needed to allow them to construct their own opinions regarding private, that is, personal, ethics, and public policy, thereby to equipping them with the ability to contribute to dialogue and discourse in the public forum. Of the GLGS, it is GLG-1 that serves as the primary learning goal for participants and is what guided curriculum design with the goal of preparing students for the summative goal. The acquisition of knowledge, skills, and attitudes by which proficiency is measured, KSs, are referred to as learning proficiencies. Jones, Noyd, and Sagendorf, 2015. Table 1 comprises the learning proficiencies, that is, KSs, for this course according to type by row and column, which allows for a coordinate designation. For instance, the ability to recognize the basic structure of an argument comprising scientific evidence is located in row 2, column 2. The basis for the coordinate location system I decided upon is that an ability to recognize an argument requires knowledge of its general structure. Though this proficiency may rely on knowledge derived from the cohesiveness of facts that yield concepts, it is neither factual nor itself a concept. Ability that results from a thorough understanding of the concepts derived from the knowledge of isolated facts. Table 1 shows learning proficiencies organized by type, which resulted from viewing them as descriptive. Although it does a great job organizationally, the descriptive elements in the table may be improved upon, in my opinion. Many ways exist, but I adopted an alternate framework instead of justifiably viewing learning proficiencies as being merely descriptive of the outcomes of a metaphoric course goal equation. I wondered whether altering perspectives on either the goal, the equation itself, or both would lead to greater insights. Ultimately, it would be changing my perspective on the equation that made the most sense. The conscious decision to view each of the learning proficiencies as components of the overall goal equation, individually necessary yet sufficient together, led me to frame the curriculum on the next slide according to what students ought to know, what they should be able to perform, and the attitude they should have to allow them to realize course goals. Table 2 outlines the sequence of activities to be conducted. Proficiencies have been organized prescriptively. Organized in this manner, the proficiencies in Table 2 become a roadmap for achievement that can guide both the learner and teacher. Logically organized, Table 2 was my template for the curriculum logic model crafted for my course. The top left cell is the starting point. Attitudes are the foundation for knowledge, and knowledge is the basis for skill acquisition. From left to right, the student's attitudes progress from motivated, to comfortable, to self-efficacious. This course will allow all students to succeed in their learning efforts, and I am eager to have them enroll. Now that we have described the rationale for the manner in which I structured the curriculum, I would like to point out that the target audience and curriculum for fundamentals of logic, reasoning, and argumentation for public engagement with science (PES) includes adult students who are members of the public who are not considered scientists by profession or possess the education being offered. That notwithstanding, it is open to the public and will be enjoyable for those who wish to enroll. There could not be a more appropriate time for this course, and the next slide should convince most that it has much more to offer enrollees than the General Learning Goals (GLGS) mentioned earlier. The curriculum is necessary for multiple reasons that relate to understanding and engagement with science. Interest in science is growing while scientific literacy is decreasing. Suleski and Iparaki, 2010. Scientific literacy required to understand as well as engage with science in any capacity. Without understanding and engagement by the public, policy cannot be shaped by citizens it is meant to benefit. Furthermore, public policy concerning scientific issues can neither be said to truly benefit those who fail to understand nor participate in its establishment. The overall goals and outcomes include: participants will be able to recognize the basic structure of an argument that comprises scientific evidence. In addition, successful students will be able to define and describe the characteristics of an argument, its premises, its assumptions, its conclusions, validity, soundness, natural deduction rules of logic, and derivable rules of logic, for example System K. And, Lastly, students will be comfortable in judging scientific arguments as evidence, determining any consequences and their impact, recommending courses of action to be taken based on the judgment, and suggest public policy concerning scientific issues. For materials and resources needed to implement the curriculum, the following texts will be used: Garson, J., Modal Logic, 2016, Barker-Plummer, D., Barwise, J., Etchemendy, J., U., A., Murray, M., and Pease, E. Language, Proof, and Logic, Volume 2, 2011, and Tolmines The Uses of Argument, Updated Edition, 2003. The evaluation activities to be conducted to find out if the curriculum goal and objectives succeed were chosen from Classroom Assessment Techniques, which is a classic text by Angelo and Cross, 1993. This slide and the next contain a list of the sources relied on during the creative stage of curriculum development. Many of them provided invaluable insight into the nature of curriculum design, and I highly recommend each of them to those in need of information and inspiration. Again, this slide just continues the list of references. Nothing new presented here. Let us take a look at the next slide, as we wind down the presentation. We have on this slide a table that lists the learning experiences for the students in the course. The table also includes both the strengths and shortcomings of each of the particular activities providing the experience. It is not a full SWOT analysis, but does provide an idea that reveals the rationale behind the choices that I have included in the curriculum. There are many others that may achieve similar results, but these were the ones on which I decided, and they do align quite well. Among the most useful overarching principle that I relied upon in the developmental process was that of alignment. See Jones, Noyd, and Sagendorf, 2015. An effective way to frame the process of aligning one's curriculum is through the mindset of reverse engineering the aspects. The missing inferences between the parts aligned in the slide are the assessment or evaluative procedures. That is, once a decision on the primary learning goal for the course is made, the components that comprise the curriculum ought to ensure the best possible chance that learners reach that goal. And evidence of achievement comes by way of demonstration of proficiency during a summative assessment, which is a function of the receiving timely and informative feedback from repeated formative evaluations given in between the learning experiences. This slide shows the outline structure of the curriculum sequence from top left to bottom right. Each box represents a step, and any of the classroom assessment techniques may substitute it for equivalent assessments, as discussed in my research paper. The summative assessment is given at the end for the course. Given the available evidence regarding the phenomenon of global warming and climate change, conduct a review of the literature and choose 5 research papers claiming to support and 5 claiming to refute its occurrence. Then, analyze the evidence presented and using logical curriculum sequence. Summative assessment. Finally, here is the logic model for this course. It just plainly lays out the components of the curriculum and main course goal. Again, logically organized and proceeding from left to right, top to bottom. The student learning factors are listed here, and in my paper I have discussed the impact at length and how the course design addresses them. Please feel free to contact me with any questions. We have reached the end of the presentation. I hope you have enjoyed and thank you for your attention and thank you.